welcome back. We're going to be talking with director Ben Lewis about his film Google and the World Brain. Welcome. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me.
So this film alludes to H.G. Wells's book, The World Brain, where he envisions this world knowledge shared, and your film explores the dilemma, both legally and morally, of doing that, because Google has tried to do that, and this is a fascinating topic.
Thanks.
Yeah, lots of people who just even hear the title are intrigued.
Yeah, that's quite a good idea to have an intriguing title.
Yeah.
But you know, in 1937, this legendary British science fiction writer H.G. Wells went to the sort of World Librarians and Bibliographers Conference in Paris and unveiled this plan, this prediction about the future to create something called a world brain, and all books would be kind of put together into one ginormous institution. They would all be photographed on microfilm, which was the kind of data storage technology, amazing data storage technology of its day, and they would make lots of copies. So effectively, you would have all human knowledge, all the world's information available to everybody, everywhere. And you imagine this would be run by a central institution in Barcelona. I don't know why he didn't think of Park City or Salt Lake City, but anyway. How dare him. And it was it was a kind of prediction of the internet, you know, and it took sort of 70 years for the internet to come along, whatever, a bit less, 60 years. And the internet and the scanner made that Wellesian prediction possible. And there were various attempts to create the world brain. You know, a few libraries got involved, did it rather slowly, and there was Brewster Kaele's Internet Archive. And then along came Google with its, you know, enormous financial firepower and technological prowess and said, we're going to do this. We're going to scan 10, 20, maybe 100 million books, all the world's books. We're going to get it done. We're going to upload it on the net. And it was a kind of crazy, outlandish dream, perhaps the most like ambitious idea that we've had in the last 20 years, and no one really knows about it.
And when you hear about it on the surface, you kind of have the vision that H.G. Wells had of where it's an opportunity for conversation and world peace, and it's very ideal. But then the film talks about some of the dangers that now have surfaced with Google's attempt to do this, right?
Yeah, well, the downside was that, you know, among the 10 or 20 million books that Google scanned, there were 6 million books in copyright. Right. And we have these things called copyright laws that exist all over the world. And, you know, writers spend a lot of time very carefully crafting books. And I know from personal experience that writers don't tend to make a lot of money from the books they write. And they weren't too pleased that their books were being scanned by Google without their permission, sometimes in a rather low quality way, and they weren't making a penny out of it.
And so the film, this is a large topic. How did you approach it to tell the story about, were you trying to look at the pros and cons and kind of give viewers their opportunity to make their own opinion?
Yes. Yes, I want to encourage people to think critically about the net, about the internet. That doesn't mean I want them to condemn the internet or condemn Google. And the idea for the film was really to juxtapose these marvelous utopian dreams with these dilemmas and dangers that we face in creating and realizing the dream.
Because this is really just a microcosm of an overall dilemma that we're facing, the possibilities and the dangers of the internet as a whole.
And what's great about this story, well, the reason why I really focused on it and the Google book story became the central thread, was it wouldn't just be about me saying, I think these are the problems of the internet. But basically you had, you know, American publishers, you had American authors, you had the French government, you had the German government, you had Japanese writers, you had Chinese writers groups, you had the American Department of Justice, all coming together and saying, this is a wonderful dream, but we think the dangers are huge.
Right. And it really has changed, because since he wrote this book, people have latched on to the idea, and you know, there's been conferences held, and people have really hoped that someday this would come true. And now that it's getting close, people are stepping back and saying, well, wait a minute, there's so many of these other consequences of this that we never even dreamed of.
Well, some things in our world can be done by private corporations, big, powerful private corporations, and some things in our world that are good for us can't be done by big, powerful corporations. And I think, you know, we have to think quite carefully. It's a more, I said, sort of generalized topic, isn't it? We have to think about public policy. What should governments do for us? And what should private corporations do for us? And I think the sort of creation of a universal digital library containing all human knowledge is something really that has to be organized on the level of public policy, not private enterprise.
Let's take a look. I know we have a clip of the film Google and the World Brain, so let's take a quick look. That was a look at Google and the World Brain, and director Ben Lewis is here chatting about it. So we were talking during the clip about how amazing some of the cinematography is, because you were able to capture some of the world's most amazing libraries. That was fascinating.
Well, it's quite difficult to find visual images for a film about the internet, which is all about sort of keyboards and cyberspace and circuitry. And one of the great advantages of making a film about Google Books and the Universal Digital Library project is I could go around the world to the world's most amazing libraries and create fantastic visual sequences. And we went to the National Library of China, which is like a sort of enormous queue with people reading on 5 or 6 levels going down. And we went to the Vasconcelos Library in Mexico City, where the bookshelves seemed to sort of hang off the stacks. And then we filmed it with this enormous crane. We had this amazing Mexican team, but we had this 8-meter crane, and we were doing these like swooping moves, because I wanted people to feel, when they watched the film, that they were in a kind of spaceship of knowledge.
That's amazing. We were talking about our personal love of libraries. I have a library in my home, and I don't think there's anything better than sitting and reading in a library. Is that one thing that the film explores, about how libraries may be a thing of the past? Is that part of the danger?
Well, yesterday's library is a thing of the past. But the library isn't the thing of the past, because in a way the internet is a library.
Right.
I mean, it's obviously a communication tool. You can look at it in different ways, but it is a ginormous library. So libraries aren't dead, but the library of the past,
the ones you just described.
Yeah, the libraries of the past, you know, will become, I think, more like sort of storage facilities eventually.
Wow, that's a sad moment.
But I hope they still have reading rooms where people like you and I can sit surrounded by books and, you know, look at all these other people around us developing ideas silently, because that's why I really love libraries.
Right, me too. And tell me, quickly, I know that you have done a lot of work with documentaries and television, and you seem to be drawn to very topical films. Things that explore current conversations and things that are changing the world. Why is that?
Well, you know what really gets me? It's like these kind of visual images in my head that are connected to stories that somehow sum up a particular era, if you like. And so, like, I made a film about communist jokes, because jokes really captured what was weird about communism. And they told you everything you needed to know about this 70-year Marxist-Leninist experiment. And it's just the same with these libraries and with the book scanning project. It's somehow that sums up everything we need to know about the ambition of our age, this ambition to digitize everything and create this parallel cyber reality.
It's amazing. Well, I know we're going to see more of you. Good luck here at the film festival. Thanks for coming in.
All right.
And we are going to be back with a little clip from the red carpet, so stay with us.